Joe is with us in Canada. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the EntreLeadership Podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Dave, and thanks for taking my call. Let me tell you a little bit of our business. So we have a 7-bay automotive service center. So we do service on imports and domestic and tires as well.
Cool.
So last year we did $1.4 million in revenue with gross profits of $960,000 on there.
What was your net profit?
The net profit was $165,000. That's after I paid myself $100,000.
Okay. What's it? So, what would, if you weren't there, what would we have to pay a manager to run a 7-bay?
You're looking at probably $80,000 to $100,000.
Okay, so the 165 is probably pretty realistic if I bought it, and I live in Tennessee, so I've got to have somebody run it. Right,
and so you'd be looking at net profiting $165. Mind you, this year, Dave, we're projected to do $1.65 million.
Oh, okay.
With gross profits of over $1 million. So
yeah, okay. So $200,000 anyway is your net.
Yeah, right. So we're not doing the EBITDA. We're talking just net profit.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking at.
Yeah. So we're looking at my wife and I semi-retiring in about a year's time. So usually for these transactions that take place, they take 6 months to a year. So we're trying to get ready, and we want to make sure the market evaluation, what we have, is going to be fair out there. And so we're looking and talking to our financial advisor, the accountant, a lawyer, and those that have been in our industry. And the other thing I should point out, Dave, is that this is a franchise operation. Okay, so it's not Joe's Garage. So
the franchisor has to approve the transaction.
Yeah, and they've never turned that down. So they have the right to match, but not undercut me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what do you think the valuation is?
So mine, so it's a two-part on here. I'm looking at $1.2 million here. Now, that's
you think it's worth $1.2 million?
Yes.
So that's 6 times net.
Yes, because we've had in the franchise, like some of these get close to 8 times before.
Wow. Okay.
So there's been a few transactions on that.
From your perspective, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be fair, Dave, I don't know what their net profits were. So 8 times, a smaller number is not going to be as big as what we're looking at. So and with the franchise agreement, it's agreed upon that you have to carry at least $75,000 worth of inventory. And for us, that's easy when we're talking just motor oil and even just 100 sets of tires. That can reach up to that $75,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have that. And then my equipment, we have 7 hoists on there. We got an alignment rack that usually goes for about $40,000 up here in Canada.
That's not in addition to your price, dude. You know that.
Okay. Well, see, that's what I want to figure, because if is that something that you have to?
There's 3 ways to put value on a small business. There's book value, which is what you're messing with now. Book value is if you turn the key and close it, collect all the receivables, pay all the payables, sell off the racks, sell off the inventory. What's the inventory, the racks, the equipment, the tools worth? What's all that worth? And that's your book value. That's the smallest possible number that a business is worth. It's worth at least that. That's the floor. Okay?
Okay.
Then some businesses like yours, where there's more of a standard in the industry, they'll go some multiple of gross. Okay? Like, or multiple of cash flow, or a multiple of EBITDA, or something like that. But that is, that's not used that often in small business, unless you got something like you've got, where you've got a track record with other franchisees running a very, very similar operation. And we've done this 28 times in the past 30 years, and we generally get, 1.5 times gross or whatever. That's another way. That's a less popular method. The most accurate method of putting a proper price is to say, I want a percentage rate of return on my money if I'm the buyer. I want an ROI. And that's called a cap rate method, a capitalization method. And I cap businesses, small businesses generally. I'm willing to accept your numbers, but generally I cap rate them at 20 to 25%. If I'm going to buy a small business, it's a high risk endeavor. So I want a 25% annual rate of return on my money, which would be 4 times your net profit, be $800K. Okay. If I want 5 times net profit, that's a 20% rate of return on my money. That puts you at $1 million. You want $1.2 million, and so that's about an 18% rate of return. That's still acceptable because you've got a very templated situation with the other franchisees, and so I will accept that in your case. If you were Joe's standalone garage, I probably wouldn't do that.
Absolutely, I agree.
So I think your $1.2 million is reasonable, but you don't get to do $1.2 million plus the equipment.
Okay, fair enough.
The equipment is what produces the $1.2 million.
Okay, I respect that. Yeah. Okay. So then the other part on here is I have one of my employees that's really interested in, and I'm carrying him under my wing and teaching him all kinds of stuff. But the biggest thing here, Dave, is he doesn't have $1.2 million. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and talking to my wife and the lawyer and the accountant, they were saying it would be prudent at least to put it out on the marketplace and see what you can get. And one of the things that came across as well is a few of the transactions that have been happening lately, and the lawyer's been bringing this to my attention, is that there's a lot of immigrants that want to come over to Canada, and they're willing to pay more for an established business so that they get their families over, because they get a little quicker to get into the country if they're purchasing a business. So that's where, you're saying it's not unrealistic that you may even possibly get 1.8. So, but we should put that out on the marketplace before offering it to, my employee, and then and go from there. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's a value decision you need to make. I do not know. I don't have any personal experience that tells me that what your lawyer's saying is valid or invalid. That may be the case. I don't know enough about Canadian immigration. I don't know enough about your marketplace to have a gut feel for if he's blowing smoke or not. That feels opportunistic, but I'm not above being opportunistic. You've worked your butt off for a lot of years. You've earned it. Mm-hmm. You've earned getting as much as you can get for your business. You've not done anything morally or ethically wrong, unless somehow you're screwing over your community by doing this, and I don't think you are with what you've described. But I mean, but I mean, I don't know why your employee couldn't pay the same amount if you worked out something with them. So you just got to decide if you want to try that first, and if you don't, if you want to do something with the employee, you could say, look, I can put this on the market for $1.8 million and try this, or you and I can agree on $1.4 million.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's a way, if you feel, but you got to be very comfortable with the employee's ability to operate the business. It could be that, what's your employee make now?
What's $65,000.
Okay. So if he did not pay himself the $100,000 that you're paying yourself, there would be $300,000 profit. Am I correct?
That would be correct.
If he agreed to say, I'm going to give you 90% or 100% of profits after I pay myself $65,000, which I currently make, until we get to $1.4 million or whatever, or $300,000 would be 3 years, you'd have your $1.2 million. Right? Did I do that right? That's 4 years. 4 years. 4 years, you'd have $1.2 million. Yeah. 3 years would be 900. $1.2 million would be 4 years. 5 years would be $1.5 million. $1.5 million. Yeah.
But what you're saying there, that's like me financing him for $0.
You are financing him, yeah. You would get 100% of the profits. If profits go up, you'll get your money faster. If profits go down, you'll get your money slower.
So on the seller's perspective, how does that make sense or benefit? Wouldn't I be better off?
You'd be better off take the money and run. You'd be better off take the money and run. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to look at that and see if that's an option, right? Because that would always have to be like a plan B kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a way to sell it without him having debt that he can't handle, though. Because if his profits go down, he doesn't go out of business on you. You just get less until he gets profits up. That's why I said early in this process, you've got to be very comfortable with him being able to grow it past where you've grown it.
Yeah, and what I was thinking, and what we've talked about too, right, was my wife and I are looking at semi-retiring. So I can't. It's not in my DNA to stop working. So with this, he'd be planning to keep me on, and I would just charge him an hourly rate, and mostly stay around through our peak seasons. And when it's slower, that's where my wife and I would take off, leave the country, and then come back during the busy time when they really need me, right? So that'll keep it going, and it keeps the the people that are coming in still comfortable seeing similar faces.
I don't think that's going to happen with the immigrant opportunist deal.
No, well, yeah, you're probably right on that.
I don't think you're going to want to be there. I don't think you're going to want to be there.
No, if they're paying everything up front,
you're gone.
Really, they'll probably keep me on for about 6 months for a transition period, if anything, and then gone. Yeah. But if it's the employee, it'd probably be in their best interest to keep me on for a longer period and do that. So,
the advantage of that is you get to make sure the operation's going well and continue to mentor him on growing it.
Right.
Which ensures you get your money if you're carrying back. But you would be clear in 4 years or so. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
That's not bad.
Well, I know, but I'm probably better off just running it myself, right? And just keeping him as an employee, and then kind of give him some options and saying, okay, we're going to keep X amount of dollars aside for you, and I'll still keep running it until he's saved enough. And then he's putting sweat equity in there, knowing that he's putting money aside on there. So,
but you're still working every day.
No, I can build it. Yeah, I'll build a team, where I can only be there during the busy time, and then take off. And that's where I can give him the extra bonus.
These are all ideas that you can work through, and any version of those. What I would not do is ask him to go down and borrow $1.2 million from the bank.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you'll go out of business.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. It's tough.
If he called me, I would recommend him not buy it if that's how he was going to do it.
Yeah. The other thing is our business is 98% COD. So that cash flow is great. There's no accounts receivables. It's very minimal.
Yeah, until there's a pandemic.
We went through that, right?
I know.
We went through that and we survived because
I know you survived, but you're not making payments on $1.2 million either.
No, granted, but you know what? We kept the lights open. We did what we had to do.
Not my point, Joe. My point is the unknown variable in the marketplace will take him out if he has a fixed payment. That's what I'm trying to avoid, and that's the thing. COD doesn't solve that. COD just means you've got instant cash. When you turn it around fast, but when it goes down fast. That's all COD means. It doesn't solve the fact the guy's deeply in debt. So, that doesn't... I'm not going to recommend he do that. And I wouldn't recommend you do it to somebody you love either. So, but you got some options. You can take the cash on the barrelhead if your lawyer's got somebody out there, wanting to overpay for stuff for other reasons. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, that's fine. And we certainly had a bunch of people from California move to Tennessee and do that. They overpaid for a bunch of real estate, and a bunch of us stood around and watched them do it. And, because they were hell-bent on getting out of California. And we saw that a lot in the past 36 months. Still seeing some of it. But overpaying is not necessarily unique to that situation. Somebody wanting to enter a marketplace is willing to do things that other people aren't. So that's something you can look at, but also you could look at the other direction. So you've got some ideas to work through, and at least we got some clarity on a couple of the points and moved along through the process. Way to go, Joe. You're running a great business. Very, very proud of you. Good work. Well done.